Heck, I'm texting him right now.
I think you're good to go. Randy.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon. We want to welcome everyone, whether you're here in person or virtually in some manner or another. We welcome you to the monthly board meeting for State Fair Community College. I will call the meeting to order, and in front of you, you will have the agenda, and I need a motion and a second to approve that.
Motion to move.
Second.
Patty, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do we have any citizens' comments at this time?
No, we do not.
Okay.
Justin's just.
You also have a copy of the minutes for the February 24th meeting, and hopefully you've had a chance to look through those and verify that that is correct. And if so, we need a motion and a second.
Motion. Second.
Go ahead, Richard.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next would be the warrants.
During the month of February 2022, college dispersed $4,733,655. Of that, 1,332 was in accounts payable. Payment to pros for the construction of Owen Howard Workforce Information Center was 196,413. Payroll consists of 953,925. Incoming payroll taxes on the payroll was 182,450. Financial aid refunds, you'll see 1,991,580. The bulk of that is actually distribution to students of the third round of the COVID relief funds through the American Rescue Plan. Is what the bulk of that was. Utilities of 73,494. Credit card fees for a total of 4,733,655.
Okay. Do I hear a motion and a second?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions concerning that? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Tuition and fee.
To present to you our recommendations for tuition and fee rates for the fiscal year 23, the fall 22, and spring 23, and summer 23 semesters. Recommend you approve the following tuition fees for that year. Understand that recall last year we did not increase tuition during the pandemic. Looking at taking our industry tuition to $121 per credit hour, that's an increase of $4. So the actual percentage obviously would be less, be around 3.6% or so. Missouri residents, an $8 increase to $183 per credit hour. Non-Missouri residents, an increase in our tuition per credit hour of $10 to $47. Dual credit, we recommend remain at $79. Our technology fee stay at the $30 we have right now. It's not increasing that. And then Whiteman Air Force Base, their military benefits that they're not in district, they do receive the Missouri resident rate, not count state rate. So I'd like your approval to, or your acceptance of the tuition rates or any discussion.
And I would just like to add that, you know, as Keith mentioned, that we did not have a tuition increase last year due to the pandemic. And so this fits in line with what the governor has asked us if we were going to have a tuition increase for it to be reasonable. And I believe that this is a modest one. We know that there have been increases in all of our costs and expenses. And so this will help us meet our budget projections as we gave you that information last month in the work session.
I have a question. All right. Keith, when is the absolute
last day, if you will, that decisions regarding raising, lowering, whatever fees, when does that need to occur?
We'll defer to Dr. Bates for a minute, or Dr. Anderson.
I can answer that.
Okay.
We set it here in March because we begin enrolling students the 1st of April. We like for students to know when they begin enrolling for fall, what their tuition and fee rates are gonna be. So I would say right now, you know, I mean, there are institutions and we have pondered making a change mid-year as we have done very rarely. But basically we want students to understand what their costs are going to be. There's a lot of programming that goes into it. We can't send out bills appropriately reflecting those. So it's a good question, but that's the reason that we always bring it in March. So we begin registering students the 1st week of April.
My second question is, how much money in total are we needing to generate to balance the budget, or to whatever terminology you'd like to use?
With the budget we're looking at right now, it is a balanced budget. We need to go back to my notes to get the exact numbers that the increase in tuition was on that. I can't sit here and tell you the exact number that needs to be without referring back to those. It's just not, don't have it top of mind right now. But it was in the neighborhood of $750,000.
And how much revenue do you project this will make in total?
Well, that's about what that's what this is. And I'm giving you, it's approximately 750,000.
So that you're talking about what it would generate.
Right. What the revenue, this change in tuition will generate.
And that would
Over and above where we are today.
So we're balanced now.
Well, we have a preliminary budget for 2023 that's balanced. We are not balanced right now because our enrollment for fiscal year 22 did not meet the original budget, which is why we've done a few things along the way to try to get that closer for fiscal year 22. For 23, the budget we have at this point in time, as it sits preliminarily, as we looked at what we were wanting to do with salaries, what we want to do with other expenses that we have come in, knowing what is going up and down. The amount we needed out of tuition was in the neighborhood of 750,000. And this is what was, we looked at actually some higher rates than this. We looked at some lower rates than this, and this was what got us to that level of approximately 750,000 that we were needing to meet the needs we had to do in particular the salary increases you're going to see later on here that we're going to be recommending.
So I think this might be my last question, but I'll use the word I think.
Yeah.
The money that this would potentially generate or expected to generate, or whatever terminology, is there something else or other that's been looked at the college to compensate for additional funds, cutting back, moving this, doing it? Has there been anything else addressed other than raising student fees?
And maybe I can answer that, but Keith can chime in. So first of all, we as a leadership team went into the entire budget that we're currently using for this year and looked at every place that maybe was over budgeted that hadn't been spent, and those were adjusted appropriately so that we could have as accurate a budget as we could roll forward and look at projections for next year. So we did that exercise. Plus, we looked at what would be coming as new revenue projected from the state of 5.4% increase in state resources. And we said that because our enrollment was less this year than we had budgeted, we knew we were going to have that shortfall that we would have to be making up. And we're also projecting that next year's enrollment will be I believe we ended up
1.5%.
one less than this year. So all of those combined, which is what we presented in the budget work session, along with this modest tuition increase, gave us the balanced budget that we had discussed. I don't know. I hope that answers your question, but there
Yes,
were.
no, and maybe. No, I was just,
So
I was just basically, I was asking simply was, had other things been looked at, addressed, or otherwise, are we looking straight at the tuition? That's what I was asking. So you did answer that
we
one.
began the budgeting process in early December. We literally went literally line item by line item. Literally every single line item in the budget was examined. Actually looked at, I think in the end, 4 different times to see where we could find the savings. If we could understand where our costs were going up that we knew were going up, understand what we were getting from the state in addition, what property taxes were bringing in incrementally. So this was, my perspective, a very thorough look at a budget on a literally line by line item in every department, every organization, every member of our executive leadership team looked at their budget multiple times to see where we could go and what we could do, with obviously the overall goal still being provide exemplary, learning and outcomes to be a preferred employer in the region, and to make sure that we were meeting all the goals that we needed to as an institution. So the short answer to your question is yes, we looked at it in extreme detail and made some cuts in places.
And that would be my follow-up. How much were we looking at that was drawn from that line by line?
I can tell you at one point in time, Keith took out well over $1 million and adjusted. And then, with justification, when the leadership team wanted to add anything back into the budget, especially new positions or programs, they had to justify and show, write a justification for each one of those things. And so Dr. Bates and the whole leadership team did exemplary work on that, because we do want this to be as accurate as, I guess you could say, tight budget. There's not, other than the contingency that we are planning to keep in the budget and bring to you for that final budget approval, there's not fluff. There's, we have a very tight budget that our people expect to live within, and they do a really good job of that. The other thing we did is that College Council had the same review, which is a representative body that helps guide our decisions at the college. And so they had the same information that was presented at the work session and talked through that. Had the opportunity to weigh in on the tuition increase as well as other budget priorities.
For enrollment, for the past, how many, I know that we've been down for how many years?
Well, probably 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
And we've been surviving on the same tuition?
Not the exact, no, this was just 1 year it didn't go up. But no, we have raised them incrementally. The other, I think it's been 6 years, we've raised them 5 of the 6 years.
The last several years, I think the leadership team has looked specifically much closer, or at least what's been presented to the board individually, what they call line by line, and have been really, I think everyone took, from what I understand, everyone took it very seriously, that they needed to look at it because enrollment is down.
Yeah.
And and I think they've done a very good job, and we've tried, and you've worked, I know you've worked very hard at trying to make sure that this is right. And keep in mind that a budget is strictly a guideline. I mean, there's nothing hard and fast about a budget. It is strictly a guideline for you to try to follow. And the bottom line at the end of the year, chances are it's not going to be, or it'd be very unusual if it was going to be that exact.
I don't think I made my question clear. I'm sorry.
Pardon?
My question, I don't think I made it too clear. So my question was, our current tuition has not changed. And obviously enrollment has been down for the past 6 years. Is that correct?
I'll let you make.
I mean, I just wanna make sure I'm
sure I
understanding
understand
I
that.
think we've adjusted
We,
some.
We have, okay,
I
we
think
did
so.
not
I know we had
increase
fees.
tuition last year
last year, okay.
during the pandemic, but
Right.
previously we have had a 2 and a 3, I think maybe 1 year, 5, it depends on which category, but a very modest increase generally each year.
Okay, so I know, okay.
Well, we did increase 6 months ago with technology
Yes,
fees.
we did.
Technology
And
fees.
it was, if I remember right, we went from 20 to 30.
Yes, sir.
And I thought, maybe I'm wrong, I thought that was to compensate, one, it hadn't been raised, and it was well received insofar as cheaper, much less expensive than pretty much any other surrounding campuses and services, right? And I thought that was supposed to be somewhat of a offset.
Yeah, and it was.
So it wasn't going to hit our students as far as, where we're at now, 6 months later.
But there is no technology fee increase in this proposal.
Right, because we just did, we did it 6 months ago.
I think we chose to do that technology increase versus raising tuition the second half, the second semester, I think was the reference that was talking about at that work session we did at the lake was, if we do this technology fee, we wouldn't have to raise tuition for the second half of the semester to cover the shortfall of the budget we were gonna have at that point. I don't think it was said that we wouldn't raise it at all this coming year. It was just that second half.
Right, yeah. I guess my concern is this, clearly we know enrollment's down and it's 1.5% is your estimation for next year. What is the grand master plan? I mean, I know that we want to continue to have cheap and efficient costs for our students. And we've done modest tuition fees. I understand that, but do we have a plan? What is our plan to try to, I know you guys are tightening up the belts and doing everything you can. And it's a hard question and
Yeah.
it's fair to talk about for sure.
Sure.
And,
Well,
you know,
we do
this
have
is like a 6-7 year trend. I know it's tough. I mean, economically things it is tough.
We do have a strategic plan.
Right.
And a lot of the measures in the strategic plan address enrollment management. And obviously, we have implemented an electronic process of tracking and funneling students that really is just rolled out fully for the students that will be coming to us for the first time this fall. So we know that that has a great opportunity to improve the funnel and the opportunity for those students to come here. You know, we're bringing a brand new facility online, the Olin Howard Workforce Innovation Center. We know that's going to grow enrollment in those programs.
Right.
We believe that we have a lot of opportunity in career and technical programs. And our tuition and fees are, when you look at our competition, students don't really compare us with other community colleges, generally speaking, because community college students drive 30 minutes to an hour, and that's their home community college. So they compare us with four-year universities. And our tuition is still very much lower than our four-year competition. Plus, students can utilize their A+ here. And I will say, you know, we do care about what students pay. And Tim, you've asked some really good questions, because I know that it's always been a goal for State Fair Community College to remain affordable and as low cost as we can be so that students can have access to higher education. One good thing is that the federal Pell Grant is being increased. And so currently students, if they are in general coursework, both in district and Missouri resident students, and if they're getting a full Pell, that would cover their costs. A+ covers those standard costs if they're A+, And then we have our foundation, which is very, very supportive and annually disperses between $200,000 and $250,000 in scholarships. And then we have other institutional scholarships. So, you know, there's a lot of financial aid, and we want to make sure that we help students apply for those federal, local, regional dollars. And then the Missouri has implemented a fast track for adults. So while I get the fact that we don't want to raise tuition if we don't have to, that there's other things that really need to be addressed. And one is keeping good faculty and staff. And, you know, we want to do a salary increase in order to do that. So that's part of the balance. You know, this year we're going to be fortunate in having some new state revenue, but the bulk of our budget comes from enrollment, which relies on students paying tuition and fees.
Looking at the in-district increase for $4 per credit hour is a 3.43% increase. Cost of living last year was over 5%. The cost of living increase for the first 3 months of this calendar year is proceeding at a rate in excess of the inflation rate for 2021. I think the percentage increase is in line with cost of living, and it is actually lower than general cost of living. It also, in many cases, what's the percentage of students who are on Pell Grant?
It's a little less than 50%.
Close to 50%. A plus, what percent?
Well, I will tell you this, we actually pay more in A+ dollars than we do in Pell Grant dollars. We pay about 20% more of A+ scholarship dollars at Pell. So while it may not be percentage, you can give you an idea that it's a substantial amount.
My feeling is that if we don't increase the fee, the people who we will save more money for the United States government and the state of Missouri general fund than we will for the pockets for students.
Well, and I think it's absolutely essential that we stay in line with what's going on with the economy. We can't just basically close our doors and say, hey, you know, we're not going to do this, or don't do increase, you know, consistently, and then 2 or 3 years we have some huge number that we have to increase would be very, very tough. I think we have to be. I think you all are being very frugal, and I think we're being responsible in our increase. And like Richard said, that $4 increase is minor, and I think we're still kind of in the middle of the pack for the state of Missouri, aren't we?
When you look at what community colleges charge as a whole, we're about 2/3 of the way to in that range.
But where's it stop though?
What?
I mean, where's it stop though? I guess my question. I mean, I know that next year will be a 1.5.
Realistically, it won't.
It
stop.
probably won't.
It won't.
So I mean,
Unless you know something that.
well, that's why I'm asking you
that-
guys. That's why I'm asking you
No,
guys.
I mean,
I get
the
it.
economists.
It's unfortunate. I mean,
Nick,
That's
you
not
know,
gonna happen.
you make a really good point, and I just want to say
It's-
one other
it's-
thing about our challenging budget. That as an institution of higher education, community colleges share a pot of money that comes to us based on a formula that we community colleges support, which is that 90% of those community college dollars goes to those who are below the average for per credit hour reimbursement from state dollars. And we are really low. So we're challenged with a low, I guess you could say, amount per FTE in state funding, plus our tuition and fees. And so, you know, one way we could hope for would be if the state were to give us a bigger piece of the pie, community colleges get 15% of the whole higher ed pie, and we're educating more than well, actually, the undergraduate enrollment in community colleges exceeded the undergraduate enrollment at our four-year university partners this year. So it's one thing that we always want to talk to our legislators about, because community colleges are frugal, we're efficient, we're effective, and we have high-cost programs. So.
Discussion.
Okay, yeah, good questions. Okay, at this,
I would make the motion that we accept the recommendation presented by Vice President Acuff regarding the increase in tuition as printed in our board material.
okay, do I hear a second?
Go ahead, Betty.
Is that Patty? Patty. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No.
Any,
No,
No.
okay. So did you get that? We had- Okay, all right. Okay. Dr. Anderson, are you going to do?
You doing this, Dr. Anderson?
Yeah, I'm glad to. I hope you all know, but I'm just reminding you that we are a part of the Missouri Health Professions Consortium. And that consortium includes 5 community colleges. And so we have chargeback fees for the Occupational Therapy Assistant Program. And we, as a consortium, need to set both the OTA fees and the next one, which is medical lab technician. So we are proposing that the tuition rate of $262 per credit hour is approved, and it's recommended that you approve that tuition for the OTA program. We do have a good enrollment for the OTA program. If you remember, we had that program. It was previously a part with the University of Missouri's medical school. And when that was not working well, we took it on as the fiscal agent. And so it's gained back enrollment, and those students are being served. Our rural community colleges are being served really well with this program. So I would ask that you approve that, that rate. So I can read the whole motion if you want me to.
The members of the Health Professions Consortium are
Moberly Area Community College, North Central Missouri College, East Central College, State Fair Community College, and Three Rivers Community College.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept that rate?
And this is I have another question.
Yeah.
This is the tuition rate that each of the five consortium members will be charging.
Correct. We all charge the same thing. We all grant the degree. So we are the fiscal agent. State Fair Community College is the fiscal agent, but our students get a State Fair Community College diploma. And the same way, that's the really awesome thing about the consortium program. Also, because we're the fiscal agent, we also have we hire adjuncts, but the program director is our employee. Well, the directors and the instructors in this program are our employees.
Have the other consortium members acted on?
Yes, yes, they've all approved both of the items that are here. Yes,
This rate. These
that
rates,
rate,
yeah.
correct. And I think some have already taken it, their boards maybe met this week, so, but all 5 of us agreed that this is what they would be taking to their board this month.
I have a question, just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Colleges that are part of this group, if they have a majority vote, this is what the rate's going to be, that's what everyone uses. I thought you said everyone charges the same, right?
We do.
So is it just a
We-
ladies and
we
gentlemen
look at-
agreement, or how does it?
Well, obviously, we have to have board approval. So the presidents say, this is what I'm going to take and ask my board to approve. But ultimately, each board from the 5 institutions are being asked to approve this rate.
So basically, the group has all the presidents on board to go with the same message.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so for each of these programs, we understand what the costs are of operating the program, which includes mainly personnel, but there's other costs. And then the institutions that are the fiscal agent, there is some return so that we can build up that consortium a little bit, so that if there were to be another new program that we want to start as a consortium, we could have that. Or if there's a year when the enrollment would drop and be low, that there's some cushion there so that we would be able to draw from those reserves or a little bit of cushion.
So we're the last college to vote on it?
I don't know. I can't answer that, Tim. I'm not sure.
I think last week.
We're all doing it this month. That's all I know.
Third, that I think 3 of the 5 have already acted. I'll make the motion to approve the occupational therapy assistant program tuition for fiscal
Do we
year
have a-
23.
I'll second that.
And was that Tim?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, well, the medical lab technician program is one that came, it's fairly new into the consortium. Previously, Moberly Area Community College, they're the fiscal agent. So all of the employees in that program are Moberly Area Community College employees. But they had a program, as did Three Rivers Community College. It's really hard. These are very expensive programs. So it's hard when you have just a very small enrollment for them to be a viable program. By bringing it into the consortium, we have enough enrollment of students that it's a viable program. And we always have a few students that are participating in getting this degree as well. And so I just am going to read then, they have set the chargeback fees for the medical lab technician program at $253.24 per credit hour. And then there is that 28% upcharge. That has existed since way before me. That was a way of making sure that that cushion is there for future years, resulting in a tuition rate of $324 per credit hour. And we are recommending that you as a board approve the tuition for the MLT program as shown. And this would be effective for fall 2022 through next summer 2023.
I'll make the motion to approve the FY23 medical laboratory technician program tuition as presented in line item 8 of our agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? item number 9.
Okay. In your packet, under tab 9, you have a list of positions that the college has as full-time exempt. So these are full-time faculty, full-time exempt, and administrative positions that we are asking you to approve. We bring this list to you annually, ask you to approve it so that the positions that we're working with are in the budget. The one I will point out to you, and so we always bring to you the current positions, and then we have been asking for the board to approve new positions that are being worked into the budget. So those are the ones that I really want to talk to you about. So if you go to the very last page, these are positions that we have been working on and showed you in our budget work session that we are asking to be added as new positions. And so the first one is a full-time faculty in medical assisting. The second one is an instrumental band faculty, the digital media faculty, and then the next 3 are related to surgical technology, surgical tech director, coordinator, and administrative assistant. We received a let's see, it's not Excels, but I'm trying to think of the right grant. Anyway, it's a state grant to get that surgical tech program running.
It was actually, it's COVID funds funneled through the state of Missouri. It's called Gears.
Gears, right.
Which is Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund. And it was the funds for the governor to give it his discretion for various programs. So we were able.
So we received a grant and now we're having to incorporate those into the budget. And the grant has allowed us to develop the curriculum for that program and go through all the steps. And so it will begin. And so those are actually new positions and full new positions into this budget. Previously, they were granted.
I'll interrupt.
Yeah.
Interrupt with apologies, but by introducing the surgical tech program, the expectation is that we'll have student enrollment that will generate fees, tuition, and other revenue that will cover the cost of those positions.
Correct. Actually, all of the ones that I have mentioned so far will generate enrollment that should cover the cost of those programs, those faculty members. Medical assisting, we have more applications than we can take into that program now. So by adding an additional faculty, that's the case. And we, in the budget work session, talked to you about, and we showed you revenue that all of those positions would be generating. We talked to you about an assistant controller, which is a very important position for continuity in our business office. Currently, the Lake of the Ozarks is really run on minimal staff. And we had a position that was kind of a combination of a navigator and an assistant director. We really know that to grow our Lake of the Ozarks campus back to kind of an enrollment that's a really robust, that we need a navigator there. So we were asking for approval of that position. And then within student services, I believe now they've kind of landed on part testing. It's a combination position that would assist with the registrar's office and testing. I'm seeing Dr. Bates, if that's kind of where, or Daniel, where we landed, I'm pretty sure on that one. And then the last 3, we have an opportunity to address commercial truck driving and the shortfall that our region is experiencing because of new federal guideline changes. And quite frankly, if we don't fill this gap and do it pretty quickly, there are going to be other pop-ups that come into the region. And so Amy and Michael Rogg have had a number of companies reach out to them and say, please, can you increase capacity in commercial driving? in your commercial driving academy program. And so those also would generate revenue. And we've talked to you about the opportunity to add simulators and get more individuals through that program in a better way. So to do that, we need another instructor and a program coordinator. And then bringing, the last one is a position to manage and help Justin with our facilities and bringing on the Olin Howard Center as well. We have planned for both the revenue and expense of these positions as we prepared the draft budget that we went over last month in the work session, but we continue to refine that. Obviously, we're asking for this now so that we can begin advertising. Some take a long time to fill.
These positions are being introduced to address enrollment, the programs to increase enrollment and with the thought that at least the current expectation that the increased enrollment will cover these costs.
Correct. You said that well, Richard.
Well, with the exception of the custodian, but I think we recognize that you can't build a building that large without
Right. And
probably needing a custodian position added.
we did talk to you. Justin has some money in his budget to contract for the custodial or for services that where facilities kind of has a shortfall. So it's not fully budget neutral, but kind of sort of.
But this would add.
Would add
one person.
a position, right? Yes.
The commercial driving, would that be here on the Sedalia campus?
Yes, but there would be a mobile lab that could be taken some, but yes, it's here.
This doesn't.
Dean, would you like to address? I saw you shaking your head.
He was answering my question, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add to that.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Just full-time positions.
I have a question.
Yes. I don't know, Tim, you've been asking hard ones.
I'm sorry. I'll make this simple. And I'm not trying to push you out the door. I just look at reality. And with a president-elect and the selection process that we took on as the board, we've heard a few times that from a few candidates that they feel that our facilities need to be reviewed as far as evaluation of necessity versus cost versus whether that be right or whether that be wrong. I'm wondering, I'm questioning a motion and a vote second and a vote today of yes. Does that handcuff the incoming president from making any decisions during the course of time that he would conduct an evaluation of staff?
Well, I
I
can.
think we're committing for one fiscal year. A position for a fiscal year, and that all programs and positions would be subject to annual review.
Yeah, and I think what I heard you say was that maybe there are facility needs that need to be addressed. We look at facility needs every single year. Justin has a list, ongoing list of maintenance requirements and things that are going to take some
Oh, no, actually,
resources.
I was actually looking at the administrative level,
Oh.
filtering down to the functioning
Okay.
level of passing on the information as a teacher to a student versus the top heaviness or potential top heaviness that was relayed to us by different candidates during the selection process, that would be something that they would want to do. So I'm asking, would this hamstring, whatever word you want to use, and the incoming president from being able to make decisions in that regard? You see what I'm saying? I mean, for an instance, you have people who hands-on run a facility who report to people who don't instruct, who report to another person who doesn't instruct, who reports to a vice president. So to me, that would seem rather redundant. And the cost savings in adjusting that type of redundancy at a facility this size could be huge. And it's one where I think that needs to be done. And in turn, voting today, I'm asking, would that keep the incoming president be able to do that?
Well, you know, we know who the incoming president is, and I'm just gonna say that Dr. Bates has been.
No one's officially introduced him to us. So I was just gonna use that.
Since you're gonna put me on the spot, I'll just kind of put him on the spot. And I'll just say, Dr. Bates has been a part of all of the conversations about these new positions. Obviously, I can't speak for him on what reorganization may want to occur in the future, but I can say that he and his team have brought these positions to the table. So Dr. Bates, you are welcome to address that.
Kim, the way I would answer that question is the way Richard.
Because I think this is a personnel issue and you might have to be in executive.
Well, the way I'd answer it, you asked specifically what impact your action today would take.
Yes.
And Richard answered it very well, that what you're being asked today is to approve positions for the college. And based upon that approval, contracts will be issued based on the approval of those positions. And I think all of these are professional and faculty staff positions and administrative positions. So from this approval, then the Human Resources Office would issue contracts, and those would be yearly contracts. So your action would commit the college to those contracts for a year.
Yeah.
And, you know, one reason that we do this time of year is so that we can get those faculty contracts out. We have until April 15th to get them letters so that they can sign and make a commitment to us, and we make a commitment to them.
Okay, concerning the suggestion of those positions that we had discussed in work session and then also that are listed here, I need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And Justin,
Yes.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, employee compensation.
Yeah, absolutely. So this evening, we're bringing to you the employee compensation recommendation. Generally speaking, we don't understand our budget as well in March as we do this year. I can just say, because of the commitment the governor has made and the legislature is moving forward in a positive way with his commitment to higher education, we understand what our state funding is pretty much going to look like. And you just approved a tuition and fee increase that was a part of all of this planning. And so we're able to bring to you this evening a recommendation for a salary increase for our employees. You know, we really truly believe that our employees are our number one asset, and that hiring and retaining good employees is what produces good outcomes for our students. And so that is really important. And Richard, as we've recognized already, you know, this may not keep up with the cost of living of what we've had, but it is a very good recommendation that ELT and College Council have supported. So we are recommending that our full-time faculty, that we add 1.2% increase to the salary base. And that they also get one step advancement on their salary schedule unless they're at a maximum step. And then we're also proposing to increase the overload compensation for full-time faculty to $650 per credit hour. And that's really huge. Many of our faculty teach overload. They are required to teach, for the most part, 15 credits per semester. And anything over that, they are paid at the overload rate. Then for non-instructional full-time staff, we are asking that you approve us increasing the minimum hourly wage to $15 and provide an appropriate adjustment for individuals impacted by salary compression. And then all others would get a 3% increase. The first one is for faculty by adding the 1.2 to the base and they get a step. That's right at a 3% increase, and then the overload would bring it a little higher than that. Adjunct faculty, we are asking for an increase in compensation to $625 per credit hour. You can see the difference there. We're asking that we give our own full-time faculty a $50 per credit hour, you could just say, advantage of knowing that our full-time faculty should be getting some recognition for their expertise and their being a full-time employee with us. So until this approval, they get the same rate as any other adjunct for overload. So we're making a difference here and recognizing that our full-time faculty deserve that difference. And then permanent part-time classified staff, a 3% increase. And then work study and students, we are just keeping up with the increase that the state has for minimum wage. And so that would increase by 85 cents per hour to 12, but not be effective until January 1 of 2023. We also are asking that in this motion that it would also approve adjustments for educational attainment, professional development activities. I think that's just kind of left in language, but really job reclassification and or equity. It's mainly educational attainment. And this compensation package has been taken into consideration in the development of the fiscal year 2023 budget. We are recommending that these compensation increases occur and that they would really start July 1 with the next fiscal year's budget. And that is our recommendation.
Okay, and we had talked about this as well in the work session, so.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion?
Well, let me ask a question to the president. I'm asking you a question, Randy. Do I need to recuse myself for this vote? I believe I do.
There you go.
Yes.
And I will as well. My daughter-in-law is an adjunct now.
I motion we move quasi to the, what I voted on with the tuition. I still would think that we would be able to still afford these. Regardless, so, but I motion we move that. For
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, those who can vote in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question? I mean, it wasn't gonna stop my vote or anything, just clarification. Do we know that, and I think we asked this question during work session. Do we have that many non-instructional full-time staff that is impacted by not being at 15 an hour right now?
Okay,
Number two,
yes.
what percentage of our non-instructional full-time staff does that affect? Is
I
my
think it's 12. Rachel, you have,
12%?
no, 12 individuals.
Oh.
I think it's about 12.
Okay.
12 people.
So we had, I'm sorry, we had 16. We had 16 total that were below 15.
Thank you.
And then, but Justin just also tell you, you know, then the compression, there will be others that have to be adjusted.
Correct.
As
The
well.
percentage of paid
Yes.
versus, yeah.
Okay, group health insurance.
Okay, but thank you all, and I know our employees truly appreciate your support for them. So it's recommended that you accept the renewal proposal from Missouri Health Education Group, and that it's also recommended that you allow me and or Keith to be authorized to sign the necessary cooperative agreement. Rachel worked on this as well as Keith, but we have a very modest increase, and we were really excited because it's a 3.5% increase over our current rates, which in a pandemic year, we didn't know what we might expect. Our early budget was 8% increase, and so Keith was kind of doing cartwheels, all of us were, when we got the 3.5 increase recommendation. So the Missouri Health Education Group is managed and serviced by Valentine Weiss Consulting Group in Moberly. And it includes 3 community colleges, and the majority of the members are K-12 systems, but Three Rivers Community College, Moberly Area Community College, and State Fair Community College are members of this consortium. This year, they went out for bid, and so that's one of the reasons of the low increase as well.
Okay. Do I hear a motion in a second?
Randy, I first have to recuse. I might as well do 12 and 13 at the same time.
I motion we move. I second.
And Justin, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Dental insurance?
I think it's the same discussion
Yeah, I
It is.
agree.
that, so I'd make the motion, we approve item 12, fiscal year 2023 dental insurance as presented in the board packet.
Second.
Justin, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Vision insurance.
Same thing.
Are you making the motion as well, Richard?
Motion for the vision insurance package for fiscal year
Justin, are
2023.
you
I'll second it.
second it?
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 14.
All right, thank you
Summer
very
hours.
much. And I do want to say that I'm very pleased that State Fair is still able to give our employees a full health insurance package. And so that's a great benefit when we're
Very good.
interviewing, new prospective employees. They see that. I'm bringing to you tonight a recommendation to continue what we kind of took on as an experiment last summer in July. We reduced Friday hours to be closed at noon. And so we're recommending that we take the months of June and July for this summer, and then 2023 and 24, so that we can get it into an academic calendar, and that our employees would be having a 36-hour work week. We would close at noon on Friday, and they would be able to get 4 hours of holiday pay.
I didn't hear any complaints, so I'll motion we move. I'll second.
Did I hear a second?
Right here.
Justin? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Keith?
Next items are some items we discussed at our discussion of the budget for next year. Tim will also address a little bit of your question about what else we looked at to help the budget next year. We have 2 long-term loans that are maturing next year. It was our recommendation that we pay those in this fiscal year out of the funds we have this year, so that it frees up those funds next year for other things, and we don't have to do some other situations. First of those is a loan from Hewlett-Packard Financial Services. In August of 2017, we did a lease purchase agreement with Hewlett-Packard for $850,977 for network equipment, computers, network equipment, et cetera. And that the final payments are going to be next year. The payoff balance right now for those loans, as of April 1, the payoff balance is, for that loan is $94,894.72. That loan carries a 3.5% interest rate. So not only we get it out of this fiscal year, we save a little bit on the interest as well for next year. And it frees up that 95,000. Allows so the first, and there's going to be might as well do the second one and tell you about, so you can look at both of them simultaneously. The second one, item 16, was a loan taken out in 2011 with the Missouri Department of Economic Development, the Division of Energy. It was part of an overall energy efficiency project they did in 2011. A lot of the controls you see here, the sensors, the lights, all of that were part of that. It was $1 million, $35,150 then at 2% interest rate. The payoff balance for it right now, as of April 1, is $98,012.80. So the request is, and the recommendation is to allow us to prepay those, pay off this year, get them off the books, and then utilize that money for next year's budget.
Okay, we'll vote on item 15 first.
I'll motion that we approve item 15 as presented in the board packet.
Patty second.
Patty, is that you? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, I'll motion 16 as well as presented.
I just got one quick question. Is this the train?
No, it is not the train.
Separate one. Okay.
So when they did the energy project in 2011, they took out two loans. One was through Train, which I think carried about a 3.5% interest rate. And then I don't know the details, obviously, but obviously the state of Missouri was obviously subsidizing something back then. And they took out $1 million loan from here. So no, the Train one continues until 2027. And it still has a substantial payment every year.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Here's one that should be popular.
Yes, the next items I'm going to describe, now I'm going to have Justin come talk to you about them. But this year in the fiscal 22 budget, the state appropriated a one-time apportionment to colleges for deferred maintenance. We received $1.5 million in funds to be spent on deferred maintenance this year. They're actually going to roll a portion of it over to next year for us. So Lushness has a list of, a long list of things need to be done. But one of the things that's been on the top of our list for a long, long time, for those who've been here a long, long time, has been to repave the parking lot. It's in need of repair. But we knew it would cost around $1 million to do so, and it was difficult to find that. So that came to the top of the list. We want to make sure that got done. So the two items you're going to see here are the bids and the paving of the parking lots, not just parking lots, all the roadways. Everything that we drive on or park on here that has asphalt on it, and a few things that aren't quite asphalted yet, are all going to be taken as part of that. And we're also going to do some improvements to behind out here at Becker and Gator to make those better. I'll tell you the dollar amounts now. I'm going to write them down since we opened the bids yesterday at Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Once we opened the bids, we had 4 bids for item 17. We had 3 bids for item 18. But the amount we'll be asking for on item 17 will be $867,218, 867,218. And that's 17, 867,218. And item 18, 190,527, 190,527. Both of these are fully funded 100% by the deferred appropriation, one-time deferred appropriations for that. This will leave us about $450,000 for additional deferred maintenance things. So this one, I'll let Justin come talk to you about these, what they are, and you can ask him any questions about what's going on.
Keith, can you reread
Yes.
number for number 17?
Number 17, I'm sorry, was 867,218, 867,218.
Okay.
And item, wait, what number? You said 17.
And read 18 again.
18, 190,527. Okay.
So the repaving project is all the asphalt on campus, like Keith has alluded to. It's milling everything that has concrete next to it, so you're not getting up higher than the concrete. And when we do that, it's actually 8 foot from that concrete, so you don't end up with a breakage in the future. So we're trying to make sure we do it right this time. We have requested that if there's any areas that actually need some fabric put down, which is just a process they do when they're redoing some parking lot. That's included in part of their bid. And we had all of this done through engineering survey and services. So they help us write the spec, they help us review the bids. So that it wasn't just me writing a spec on a pavement that I'm not a professional in. So they wrote all the spec. We wrote them in two because both projects did attract two different groups of contractors. Some of them, and the one that we're asking you to approve, they bid both. Some of them only bid one or the other. But like you said, it's all of the grounds, all of the current asphalt. And then on top of that, behind Potter Ewing and beside Potter Ewing, we have gravel. We have some gravel lots at the facilities. We have a gravel lot behind Tech 2, so we're going to make all of those paved lots. The only thing it does not include is this south lot in the first one because it's in the second one. So the second bid is to raise those storm drains, the bumper killers, as we like to call them on campus. There's about 10 to 15 foot out from those that'll be repaved as part of that reconstruction. There'll be a few patches done, but overall that lot is actually much newer than most of the campus. So most of that lot will be retained. But bigger than that, the circle drive that's kind of back here that's not quite utilized how I think it was originally envisioned. We're going to take that out and we're going to attach it to the CTC parking lot. We're going to create 17 new parking spaces, which is a big bonus on the south side because we always seem to lack parking spaces on the south side, especially for groups utilizing this facility. We're going to rearrange some of the ADA spots so that they better fit access to the building and make sure that the grades meet the newer standards of 2% slope.
Justin, on the existing parking lots, when you say repaving, is that a 2-inch?
It's a 2-inch overlay.
2-inch.
All the millings that come off, we're going to retain on campus as well. So we'll stockpile those and use them for some of the.
No, and when you say millings, is that the asphalt or is that the concrete?
That's the asphalt.
The asphalt.
Oh, I didn't bring my list of bidders. The low bidder on the project was Higgins Asphalt for both of those. So what the numbers we're asking you to approve are the low bid plus a 10% contingency so that as we're doing that, if we run into some areas that we have unit prices as part of their bid as well that they had to, so that we can add things if we need to, or if they don't have to do some, we can do some deducts where we need to.
And they came in quite a bit lower too. Higgins came in quite a bit lower.
Yeah.
And we did have that evaluated by our engineer to make sure that there wasn't a discrepancy or anything. And then we also spoke directly with Higgins from our engineer, just to make sure that there wasn't any mistakes or, things can happen sometimes in the bid process, but they were very comfortable with the bid that they had given.
So the initial probably will be for Higgins Asphalt.
Yes, yes.
When
Higgins Asphalt will be the low bidder on both of those.
And estimated time to
So
complete
as
project.
soon as you guys give the approval, then we will have the contracts written up. They're ready to go as soon as they're opening their plants. The goal in their contract would be that they have to be done with the repaving project by June 1. And that's in order to meet some of our billing to the state. The second piece of the project is because of the state's letting us hold over a little bit. We gave them, I believe it's the middle of August, but basically before schools come back in session to complete this back portion. My guess is that they'll probably try to coordinate a lot of it to be done, since it's the same company, a lot of it to be done at the same time.
Do we see it disrupting anything for spring semester?
There'll be a little bit of traffic flow issues here and there, but most of it will be coordinated. We'll have signage. We have plenty of capacity on the campus. And it should coincide with stuff that's going on with fielding. We've been in touch with the motorcycle program that uses the fielding lot. And we have a staking company that's actually going to survey and GPS all of the markings that are on that so that we can recreate it after it's repaved. And that's probably the biggest coordination we have to do in this project is the dance between their classes and that lot being overlaid and then restriped.
Sorry, Keith, go ahead. Sorry.
Some athletic with the Olin Howard Center, right?
Yes, and so there's a portion of in front of the Olin Howard that's actually paid for by them. And it'll be a separate contractor, but everybody kind of knows what the line is the same where they have to do that. Yes, sir.
Does this incorporate the painting striping as
Yes.
well?
Yeah, and there'll be some changes on that here and there. We're probably going to shuffle around a few ADA spots to make them more compliant. On the east side of Fielding, we're not very compliant with those current spaces there. And we need to make sure that we're.
Yeah, that's probably important. Yeah, thank you.
Just want to make a comment too. I was very excited when we got the bid because all along we had thought this might take our full $1.5 million to do all of this. So the fact that it leaves some left for other projects, as we've got other projects, is really good news. So.
Yeah, and at the cost of asphalt right now, and the project's going on, like, to see that price from Higgins, that's
I was,
pretty.
I was a little nervous after gas prices started going up. We,
Yeah.
we knew the bids were going out, and we did put this out on bid boards, so it wasn't just through our website or anything like that. It was a statewide search.
A little bit, yeah. I'm glad you double checked the specs and make sure they know, because that's quite a bit lower.
Well, the history that I know of Higgins, I think everybody, has always been real pleased with what they've done, both with roadways and parking lots.
And we checked some of their references as well.
Pardon?
We checked some of the references, both past projects and current projects, and everybody was pleased with this.
Okay, we'll do item 17 first. Need a motion and a second?
I motion move.
Nick and Tim, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 18. Need a motion and a second.
I'll motion.
Justin
Sorry.
and Tim?
Yes.
Okay.
Justin, oh, sorry.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That work will be done day side, right? Like while employees are here and stuff, not overnight or anything, right?
What's that?
The work will be done during day, not
As
at.
far as I know, yes. We didn't ask for it to be done overnight, so. They'll stick with the dating.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Keith. Dr. Anderson?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, Justin, come on back. Justin didn't give an update on the campus projects last month, but I wanted him to do that this month. So he's gonna bring you up to speed on Olin Howard Center, and he gave ELT a significant.
It was a 2-page list.
It was a big list on Tuesday. I said, kind of just give us the brief one version tonight, but it's all good stuff. So thank you, Justin.
Thank you. So Olin Howard obviously is wrapping up. First, I just wanted, I'm apologizing on behalf of the contractor who said he made the biggest contractor mistake that contractors make in telling you that they were going to be done in February, but they're obviously not done yet. So that's on behalf of Pros Builders. The hiccup that we've got right now is we did finally get caught up with some of the delays in materials and supplies. So we have, we're currently waiting on literally the hardware for our entrance and exit doors on the main entrance and the east entrance. They are supposed to be here next week. That's what the tracking numbers say. We have the doors, we're just waiting for the hardware. The blowers that pull the air out of the labs, out of the welding lab and through those filtration systems, again, are supposed to be here next week. Or they're supposed to be here the middle of April, so those would be installed by the end of April. And the classroom lights, they were ordered on time. There was no expected delays, but somewhere in the process, they have been delayed and they are not here yet. So we have lights in the shops and the lights are going in the hallways, but we don't have any lights in the classrooms currently. The last one that is on a back order, but we don't have a date, is some of the fire alarm equipment. We have the main panel, but we're missing horn strobes, the lights and the signals that tell you that the fire alarm is going off. So we don't have a ship date on those yet, and that's kind of our biggest hang up. Other than that, we have a couple overhead doors, a couple of panels they'll be done in the next couple of weeks. The final floor ceiling on the shops will be done in the next week. The bathrooms in the shop will be done next week after the floors are sealed. The bathrooms on the corridor side have been completed. The lockers are supposed to start arriving next week as well, and they'll start the installation. The finished grading and sidewalks, again, we know welcome to Missouri, so we've got to wait for it to dry out just a little bit, and we'll finish that grading, get those sidewalks in, and they'll pour the last bit of asphalt there over the top of that we had taken out. And so all in all, other than the fire alarm, it looks like most everything will be wrapped up by the end of April. We have another bid that'll be coming to you guys at your next board meeting to do the network cabling inside the building. We have most of the components and things like that that we've purchased through our normal contracts. That'll kind of finish off some of that. You guys approved the furniture. Most of that equipment has been ordered, and we actually might start seeing some of that here in the next few weeks coming in. So overall, that's the Olin Howard picture. We've got a move team that's Dean Rogg and myself have been gathering, and we've got to gather again and finish the coordination for all the equipment that has to be moved over. And we've got quite a bit of equipment that we've purchased through the grants that's being warehoused at our facility as well for their new facility that we're holding on until we get moved over. So that's your Olin Howard update. The other ones I wanted to kind of touch on was our learning commons that we've talked to you guys about. We'll be bringing some bids to you guys. Really, it's a multi-tiered move, right? So we're going to be bringing to you right now some, or not right now, at your next meeting, bids for the kitchen and dining hall remodel. In order to do that, we've got to move the campus store. Over to Yater, we've got to move tutoring. So in this last week, this week, we've actually begun the process of moving tutoring in Trios tutoring. They moved to a classroom in Yater and into some space in the library. And notifications are going out, signage is being put up to make sure students are directed to know where to go. The computer lab on the backside of that is also being dismantled. Some of those computers will be relocated to the library, and other ones will be actually gotten rid of because I believe they're due for a refresh, according to the IT folks anyway. That lab doesn't have the utilization. Most students are bringing their own devices, but the ones that do need it will still have some devices in the library for them to use. In order to get ready for the campus store to move over, it's minimal. Most of that we'll take care of through our current operational budget to get ready for them to move over. And then the goal is to move the campus store here in the middle of April or the end of the semester, get them settled in. And then we'll have, as soon as the semester ends, we can jump into the kitchen and dining hall if you guys approve those bids. We did receive electrical bids for the switch gear for fielding. Our engineer is reviewing those bids, and we'll bring those to you guys at your next meeting as well. That's part of the MOExcel's funding that is providing that. And Keith, that one we were supposed to have spent by the end of this year, but the state has recognized that those were a lot of construction delays with those, and they're paying us the money, correct? And we will show that how we spend it out. The last one I wanted to touch on was we met today, our residence hall team meeting. We'll be meeting again in 2 weeks. So we've got some good designs coming out of Rawlings Architecture. Now that we've kind of solidified a good framework of those designs, we're going to be crunching the numbers. So the residence hall teams, Daniel's teams, Keith and his folks, and myself will be collaborating with basically how many folks we can put in there, the construction costs, comparing that to what we could charge, so that we can kind of look at those the finances of making that project successful. If there's anything else you want me to touch on those, or if there's another project you've seen us doing, like I said, we have a 2-page list of things we're doing, but those are the big ones that are on.
Thank you, Justin.
Okay, thank you, Justin.
It's a lot that his team is working on. So I just want to recognize Justin and his team's really good work. You've probably seen a lot of activity happening on the college in spring. And so we had the play Leveling Up. It was a great play, kind of a heavy subject matter, but they did a super job, as our theater department always does. And the instrumental spring concert occurred, but weather postponed our vocal music concert. I understand from Dean Cunningham, they're going to kind of combine that with the next upcoming vocal music concert. And we just pray we don't have snow in May or April. We also have had students not only performing along their academic lines, but also our athletes have been performing and have been recognized. We have our indoor track and field group. Our road runners took home 3 top 8 finishes from the NJCAA indoor track and field competitions that were held at Pittsburgh State University. And we had a group that attended the 50th anniversary Golden Valley Memorial Hospital Foundations Gala. Our Clinton, and then also our Clinton second year nursing students held a health fair that was really well attended in Clinton. It was a very successful event. We've talked to you about, we had our first speech and debate competition, students participating, and so we had an individual that made it to nationals and said that it was challenging at that level, but they compete against four-year universities. So, and that's primarily the individuals that they're competing against. So kudos to Brenda Robinson for her PTK being named Phi Theta Kappa all academic team. And that's a real honor, and we appreciate our PTK sponsors. Let's see what else. We have a chamber banquet this evening, the Sedalia Chamber Banquets this evening, and I know we have some individuals attending on that. March 10th, we had a super legislative visit, and so thanks very much, Randy and Richard, for attending that. We met with representatives Paulette, Reedy, Thomas, Haley, Caberlow, Haux, McGaw, Black, and I think one other one for our representatives, and Senators Crawford and Hoskins. And previously I'd met with Senator Brown. So we covered a lot of territory, and those
I will make a note that Jolynn made us work that day. Really hard. I've never seen that many people all in one day. That was great.
It was a busy day. It was a really, really good day. Also, our gala is this Saturday night, so I hope that everybody has their tickets for that. We also, the foundation received a $50,000 donation for their fundraising campaign for the Olin Howard Center from Citizens Farmers Bank of Coal Camp, and we had a check presentation there. That was really nice. We signed 2 articulation agreements. One was Central Methodist University for their master's in athletic training. And then we also signed a dual enrollment articulation with the University of Central Missouri. Those were both will be beneficial to our students. And then I also just want to say congratulations to the city of Sedalia. Several of our SFCC family attended the new Heckert Community Center ribbon cutting and grand opening, and truly a tremendous thanks to Sue Heckert, who has been, you know, a wonderful benefactor for our city and our college too. So I just wanted to recognize that. Jim Cunningham reported that Brad Driscoll and several of our ag students, it's season for a lot of competitions, but they attended the National Post-Secondary Ag Students Competition in Minnesota. And of the 7 students who attended, 4 finished in the top 3 of their contest areas. So you'll be seeing a news release about that. And then Brad Driscoll was selected to represent the National PAS organization. And so he will be an ex officio seat on the National PAS Board of Directors. So kudos to Brad Driscoll for that. And then our shooting sports team, are they back from nationals? I think they're at nationals this week.
They are, I'm not for sure if they're back, but they should be close to being back.
Okay.
The competitions.
So, you know, we've got a lot of teams on the road, and so we'll let you know how they did. And then we have condolences to extend to Keith. His father passed away, and so we always want to recognize our staff who have those kind of issues. And then last but not least, just congratulations to Dr. Bates. I'll be working well with him on transition. You know, I was kind of counting down. People have been asking me for a while, how many days? I'm saying, I don't know, there's so much work to get done, but there's just like 3 months now. And so it's starting to get very real. And so we'll be working together on the transition from my leadership to his leadership. So that's my report.
Okay, I think lots of activities going on this time of the year, and only academically, but physically and on our campus, and so we appreciate that. Okay, Keith?
The financial report, I'll start by saying there's nothing particularly different about the financial report, which is always good to be able to say. We continue on pace with where we've been the last couple of months. Our spring enrollment was significantly better in terms of retention versus the fall. We're down as spring's pretty much wrapped up now. Our second 8 weeks have started, and we're off about 2% from last year compared to the fall. We were down about 6%. So the trend is going the right way. We're anecdotally, we're hearing from Dean Hutton Gann that her classes in her medical fields there's been a lot of interest this year, more so than she saw last year. So there's some good signs here in terms of trajectory. But so you'll see on here on really the F1 page, you'll see that our tuition and fees actual versus last year is creeping close to where last year was, which was our goal all along, was we thought we'd be about flat. We took actions, as you noted, Tim, earlier, to try to address a shortfall. And it appears that those have had the intended effect, not only because of what we did, but also because of the enrollment in spring got improved much better than it had in the fall. So we knew those would help. Other than that, everything is where we thought it'd be from a revenue standpoint. Always like to thank Nick one last time for making sure our citizens paying their property taxes. Pettis County being our largest benefactor, and they're right behind them. So that's coming well. Also, the thing that you'll see beginning next month is while the Federal Open Market Committee starts to raise rates, you'll see some of our investment funds will take advantage of that, as we'll look at some of that next year. From an expense standpoint, nothing's unusual. You'll see that we spent about 64% of our budget today. We're about 2/3 of the way through the year, and expenses tend to follow the year fairly closely. Revenues kind of don't, but expenses, do. So as long as I'm, sort of behind what percent of the year in expense, I feel we're probably about where we need to be there. So nothing in particular to point out other than we're on track from a budget standpoint where we expect to be.
Thank you, Keith. Sounds good. Okay, next on the agenda is work discussion concerning the election results. And are you
Yeah, well,
lead that or?
there will be an election coming up, April 5th. And so you need to have a meeting according to policy within 14 days to reorganize and to swear in the new Board of Trustees. And so looking at a calendar, we need to set that date. And so could be the 14th if you want to make it on a Thursday, and it'll be a short meeting.
How long will it?
So we
Clerks have to certify.
So we have till the Friday after the election till noon to certify. So most generally, we should be done by the 11th, but by law, we actually have 2 weeks. So hopefully there won't be any crazy recounts or anything of that nature. So we should have certification to all municipalities, entities by the 11th or the 12th.
So the 14th.
So the 14th would be suffice probably, yeah.
And if you want that at a different time of day, that's up to you, but, so my suggestion, if you have it the 14th, your regular board meeting won't be until the 28th. So that would be 2 weeks.
Is it 14th, John?
That's what I'm recommending. I'm good with that.
What time? I'm sorry.
Do you want to keep 4 o'clock or do you want, it's your
It'll be a
preference.
pretty quick meeting. And I won't really have to worry about that part, will I?
Well, it's nice to be here because this board starts the meeting.
Right.
And then
Then we transition. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
yes. So
I'm
4 o'clock?
I'm okay with 4 o'clock.
And are we Did I see somewhere that we're gonna have it at Hopkins?
That meeting, well, we definitely will have the 28th in the Hopkins boardroom. We'll kind of see, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll let you know, but
Kind of just
we're working
play by
on
ear.
getting the cameras installed.
At 4 o'clock on the 14th.
I'd make a suggestion that the 14th we meet here. Just because there'll be some
Yeah, and
and family members and
Great.
who may want to attend, so.
we'll see if we can. I don't know, Jolynn, if you've checked on that date for this room. We'll see. We only have a date as of yet. I will. Okay, we will. And that's a good point, Richard, because we do encourage the trustees to bring their families and, yeah, it's an occasion to celebrate. So, okay, we will, so should we have a motion to have it on the 14th at
I'll make that
4
the
here?
motion.
I'll second
Special
that.
board meeting 14th at 4.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I also bring another, something that we might just want to think about, but the June meeting, we have the MCCA conference. That same week, whether or not we change the date or whether we go ahead and have it, possibly have it at the lake, or do we want to wait for the new group?
I think we ought to wait, personally, I think we ought to wait until the April meeting.
Well, just to kind of put it in everybody's cap, that the conference is coming, and that's a trustees conference down at the lake. And it's the week of
The 20th.
22nd through 22nd, 23rd, and 24th
Correct.
at,
Camden.
yeah, Camden on the Lake.
Okay. At this time, we will need to go into closed session. Need a request to do that, and Jolynn will then do a roll call vote.
A motion to move.
It's personnel.
Personnel.
Nick and who?
I'll second.
Justin?
Randy?
Yes.
Tim? Justin?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Pat?
And we will, we're gonna move down. down the road.
Keith, thank you, sir. No, thank you very much. No, I appreciate everything. That's a good time. See you there.
Hello.
How are you?
Everywhere I go, it's cold and so you're building.
I am ready for, just sitting is nice weather.
Who wants to be able to have access